You know, a vegan walks out the door and they're bombarded with reminders of the consequences of this atrocity. Trucks of body parts drive by. You know, billboards of happy families eating dead animals' bodies are everywhere we turn.
A Gallup poll done a few years ago showed that 98% of Americans are opposed to animal cruelty. You can't get 98% of Americans to agree that the sun sets in the west.
We don't want to be the people that one day someone comes to us and says, you knew about this, and you held back because you didn't want to upset me.
We're here to make a better world for them. You know, this isn't about us. We've been given our launch pad, so now we want to give them a launch pad, right?
All around this great big world.
Let's explore that example of carrots versus Coca-Cola. It's true that in a tightly controlled laboratory setting, 240 calories of carrots, 10 carrots, would have the same effect on calorie balance than the 240 calories in a bottle of Coke. But this comparison falls flat on its face out in the real world, right? You could chug those liquid candy calories in less than a minute, but eating 240 calories of carrots would take you more than 2.5 hours of sustained, constant chewing. Not only would your jaw get sore, but 240 calories of carrots is like 5 cups. You might not even be able to fit them all in, right?
From North Carolina, we traveled up to Johnstown, Pennsylvania, to screen A Prayer for Compassion at the North American Vegetarian Society's Vegan Summerfest, a health, environmental, and animal rights conference /retreat/vegan summer camp.
They lost 17 pounds in 3 weeks eating more food, in excess of 4 pounds a day. How could that be? Because whole plant foods tend to be so calorically dilute, right? You can stuff yourself without getting the same kind of weight gain. They lost 17 pounds in 3 weeks eating more food. That's why in my upcoming new book, How Not to Diet, which I am very excited about, that's why low in calorie density is on my list of the 17 ingredients for an ideal weight loss diet.
There are a lot of things that happen in scriptures. People have slaves. Men are always in charge. Women shall be silent in church. And women, to go back to the very beginning, women shall bring forth children in pain. And people don't really believe all of that anymore. But yet the meat eaters will find 1 or 2 little passages and they will tell you, yes, well, this we're supposed to eat meat.
And the dairy industry has been left over the last several years with a huge surplus of cheese. That's why you now see cheese not only on your pizza, but in the crust, under the crust. You used to get a cheeseburger, now you get a double and triple cheeseburger. The dairy industry is finding new places to put cheese to try and get you to eat more of their product. And that's a general trend as well, because in corporate America, it's all about profit. If a food corporation wants to increase their profits, yet they're dealing with a relatively fixed number of people, how then do they increase corporate profits? By getting each individual person to eat more food. That's why hamburgers that used to be a single patty with a single layer of cheese now have 3 patties, 3 kinds of cheeses, bacon, and God knows what else is on it. You know, pretty soon I think they're gonna put a flat screen TV on it.
Before we take our first question, Melody, you say in the film, be a champion for the animals. Can you talk about what that means?
It means not eating them, and saving their lives from harming.
You could go out here in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, any church, any synagogue, any yoga studio, and you could bring up any of these issues that we see on the news. Where do you stand on immigration? Where are you on gay rights? Where are you on abortion? Whatever it is, they have taken a stand. They might not agree with each other or with us, but they wrestle with these issues. And you say, what's your stand on animals? What's your stand on food? Chances are they're going to look at you like you're from another planet. We want this issue to be there with all the others.
On Saturday night, the kids and some of the adults performed songs and short skits. And Dr. Michael Greger was inducted into the Vegan Hall of Fame. During our weekend at Summerfest, Melody and I stayed with her grandma Nina, who became our first family member to go vegan after seeing the film and spending a day at Summerfest, surrounded by so many kind and compassionate, healthy vegans.
You know, the broiler chicks that people eat, they grow so fast, you know, they got them where, you know, they're only weeks old when they go. I mean, they grow really fast, ungodly, like they're not meant to grow that fast. And so the egg industry, they don't grow the same way. They don't grow as fast. You know, they're not made to eat, they're made to lay eggs. So when you have a baby boy, he can't lay eggs. Instead of feeding him, what are you going to do with it? Same in the cow industry. What are you going to do with a baby cow that's not made for meat, but made for dairy, and it's a boy, and you can't give him that? Are you going to feed him and cost money and lose your profit, or are you going to get rid of him? Or sell him in some way for veal or whatever? So what you got to realize, all the animals that people eat are babies.
On the way home from Summerfest, Melody and I stopped in Charlotte, North Carolina for a screening and a Q&A before returning to our sanctuary in the woods for a few days of rest.
Shame is the Achilles heel of resilience. It's impossible to feel secure and connected with somebody if we fear that they're going to shame us. Now, shame is not the same as guilt. Guilt is how we feel about a behavior. We feel guilty when we think, I did something bad. Shame is how we feel about ourselves. We feel shame when we feel, I am bad. Shame is the feeling of being less than, of being less worthy than. And most of us struggle to feel good enough. Most of us carry around a lot of shame because we've been born into a deeply dysfunctional, completely screwed up culture that creates a lot of shame in us. But we hide our shame. We hide our shame from each other because we feel ashamed of feeling ashamed. We hide our shame from ourselves. And when we shame others to try to get them to do something positive, we are actually creating generally the opposite outcome. Shamed people are generally people who don't feel like they have the agency to take positive, proactive action on behalf of themselves or others. Shamed people tend to withdraw or attack in self-defense. And studies have shown that when people feel that their dignity is not being honored, that they're being shamed, they tend to be less rational, have less access to their rational faculties, and less connected to their empathy.
I drove Sophia II up to Washington, D.C. for the 38th Annual Farm Animal Rights Conference, where we were screening A Prayer for Compassion. While I was there, I got to sit down with Dr. Melanie Joy, a Harvard-educated psychologist, international speaker, and award-winning author, to ask her about the importance of self-care as an activist.
The more we take care of our needs, give ourselves permission to have needs in the first place, to pay attention to what our needs are, and then attend to them, the more resilient we'll be, the better advocates for animals we will be, and the more sustainable we'll be. We'll be able to stay in this movement for the long haul. And this requires a shift in perspective. We have to really appreciate that having needs is normal, natural, and necessary, that it's healthy to have needs, it's healthy to have relational needs. We are relational beings, and we are in relation with ourselves all the time. Most people in relationships feel happier and more connected when more of their needs are being met. When fewer of your needs are being met, you feel less happy and less connected. It's exactly the same thing with our relationship with ourselves. So a resilient self-relationship is a relationship where we attend to our needs. Every day we pause, we tune into ourselves and say, what do I need to get back in balance? What do I need to recharge my batteries? And we give ourselves permission to do that. The animals do not need a movement of walking trauma survivors. They need a movement of healthy, self-connected people who have committed to presence and mindfulness.
It's important to know that when people are agitated and upset and defensive, the blood flows to the back of the brain, almost the cerebellum. It's where our fight and flight area is. It's also associated with cortisol and adrenaline, which makes us want to run or defend ourselves. When we are feeling comfortable and we feel trusted and we are not shamed, our blood flows to the frontal cortex. We call that the blue zone, we call that the red zone. When the blood is at the front, we get dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, trust, hope, the sort of hormones that mean that we can challenge people a little bit more. Now, how do we ensure that people's blood is kept in the right area, i.e. the front of the brain, so that they are more amenable to hearing about the message of veganism? There's two things here. Number one, there is a contagion effect. When we are around people that are angry and upset, there is a tendency, unless we're really aware of ourselves, for our blood to flow in the direction of where their blood goes. When people are feeling relaxed and comfortable, our blood flows to where they are, or vice versa. So if we are resentful and angry about people for not being vegans, and yet we've trained ourselves to be confident and calm and ask nice questions, but underneath we resent them, our blood is flowing to the back of the brain. And through what we call the contagion effect, their blood will go to that area too, meaning that they will feel more defensive, even if they don't know why they're defensive. Now, where our blood flow and other people's blood flow in the brain goes is really important, because in order for us to get people to lean forward and answer in a way that is not defensive, we have got to ensure that our blood is at the front of the brain. So we've got to do some real self-compassion on ourselves. We've got to look after ourselves. We've got to not be angry and resentful that we're not doing a good job. And nor do we need to be angry and resentful of others. Because even if we cover it up, and our blood is actually then flowing to the back of the brain, even though we look confident, other people's blood will gravitate there and they will be in a fight and flight area.
At the AR conference, I also had the pleasure of meeting and speaking with vegan psychologist and best-selling author, Clare Mann. I shared with her how my family had liked the movie, but no one had gone vegan.
I think families are the most difficult to advocate for. And sometimes we just have to plant the seed, knowing that we're in this sort of social justice relay race, that we're passing on the baton to someone else, and we may not know who that person is. It'll often be someone outside the family, but people they value. There's celebrities within the groups they value at the local pub or at the local community center. When they start to come on board, people will change. And they often come back to their children who shared the idea 15 years earlier and said, hey, I got something to tell you. And we just have to smile, realizing that we're all part of the same thing, and people come to things at different times.
I think a lot of us might be able to relate that when the light bulb went off and we woke up and we went through our process when we saw what was happening, and then we were devastated and heartbroken and crying, and then we wanted to share it with everything. I think we go through an additional heartbreak when we share with all of our friends and family who we know have the same values as of us, of compassion and kindness and mercy and dominion in a caring, tender way, when they don't respond the way we would hope, there is a heartbreak.
You see in the book of Genesis, both human beings and animals alike are referred to as nefesh hayim, a living soul. So yes, animals absolutely have a soul in the biblical understanding. And also, interestingly, both human beings and animals are referred to as basar, which means flesh. That's also the Hebrew word for meat. So the point is being made very emphatically. You think you're so different. They have a soul. You have a soul. You're made of flesh. They're made of flesh.
You have a dog? Yeah, cool. You don't think animals feel anything? Cool. Well, when I come to your house and kick your dog in the face, you're not going to say anything, right? Of course, you're going to knock me out. Why are we talking and squabbling about statistics and things I gotta prove. I gotta prove nothing to you.
Wandering around the conference, I ran into my activist friend, Ray Ippolito, who I first met at our world premiere in New York City.
But the blessing of the animals was put in place to honor St. Francis and his love for animals. So in the church, the priest explains, hey, we're gonna do this and this and this. This is how the day is gonna look. Does anybody have any questions? There's one question in the church, and that's me. And I said, thank you so much for this holiday and for offering an opportunity, an event for all of us to honor animals. I want to thank you for honoring St. Francis, my favorite vegan saint, and also for honoring Jesus, my favorite vegan Messiah. And so I'm grateful for that. And of course, every time I get all the looks in the church. And I said, I just want to know, are we going to be able to honor the 70 billion land animals and 2 trillion sea animals that we slaughter every year for food? Well, we have an opportunity to do a blessing for them. And then everybody's looking at it. Everyone's looking. Their mouths are open. And the priest says, well, you know, that's very nice of you to share that. I appreciate that. You know, we'll make sure that we do that. And he goes, you know, you're preaching to the choir. I'm mostly vegetarian. And I said, oh, great. So you're pre-vegan. We'll get you there soon, Father. But thank you for having this event. And you go out and you have the blessing, and we do that. And of course, they have all these amazing sales. They have all these selling leashes and collars and all that stuff. And I'll tell you one last story. So there's a leash there, long leash, maybe, I don't know, 10 feet or something like that. And there was a gentleman selling it. I said, oh, great, thank you for all these products. I said, Doberman or German Shepherd? He said, oh no, you could use that for any dog. You know, I said, oh, no, I'm talking about the skin. Is it used from a German Shepherd or a Doberman? He said, hey, what are you talking about, man? We don't do that. I said, what do you mean? He goes, that's disgusting. You know, you would kill a dog for that? I'm like, oh, well, what is it made out of? He said, it's made out of leather. From what? I said, a cow. He said, a cow. I said, oh my God, you would do that to a cow? And he just looked at me. I'm like, I have a pet that's a cow. He said, oh. I said, yeah, man. I don't see the difference, brother. So we just have to bring compassionate, loving, wise, tactical, strategic education to people so they could shift, just like I did, just like most of us who are vegan who did, you know, and we have to remember that we weren't always all there. So let's be smart about it so we can make it a difference, educate, inspire, and empower people to be vegan, to thrive as vegans.
Because I was watching my community's health deteriorate. I was looking at the people gain weight. I was looking at the ramps being built on the sides of houses. I was looking at people getting amputations. Every single night, ambulances were coming into my neighborhood to drag people out of the house so that they could take them in for something like diabetes or high blood pressure or heart disease or any of those other illnesses that have become so rampant in our community. So that started me on this journey. And I said, you know what, that it just makes sense that we would provide a healthier food to these underserved and disserved people. So that's what we did. We opened up Everlasting Life in 1995 to provide a viable food source to communities disserved and underserved. I think one of the most significant transformations we've seen is a guy who came to me on 37 medications. He had high blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol, heart disease, prostate, and I think he might have had asthma. You know, so he had all these inflammatory conditions that his doctors were treating individually. Oh yeah? You got a story to tell too? So these doctors were treating him individually for all of these different health challenges. And what we realized is that, well, all of them are inflammatory illnesses. So let's just deal with the inflammation in your body and let's see what kind of results that we get. And sure enough, we started working on the inflammation by changing his diet and by giving him certain supplementation. And we watched him overcome the health challenges, overcome the need for medications, lose the weight, feel better, get more energy, and get married, which he wasn't planning on doing.
No. Evan, you go first. What was the question again?
A true vegan watching the squirrel.
At the AR conference, I was reunited with 3 of my favorite young activists who I had first interviewed a year earlier at the Asheville Vegan Fest, where they had been part of a panel on youth activism.
There's so many times that you can do do activism and protest. You can even stand outside and just start passing out leaflets. That's what I do sometimes when my mom's cooking. She'll be like, where did Genesis go? And I'll be outside passing out leaflets, and I'll be talking to people.
It's such a great time to go vegan and to become an activist, because when you become an activist, you're not only sticking up for the animals, but you're sticking up for our planet.
I'm still only 10, but that doesn't mean anything, because we all have the power to create change amongst our peers, our teachers, our co-workers, our classmates, and our families, and even strangers like in the supermarket. And every single day in school, because I still have to go there, I'm working on being the best vegan gardener I can be.
And I was like, don't tell anybody I said this, but you know what an egg is? And she was like, what? And I was like, a chicken's period. And she was like, what?
But being vegan is not enough. You need to be an activist and not only live that life, but make other people aware.
Yeah. I want to say that if you're not already vegan, please go vegan. Save the animals, save the earth, and save your health and yourself and everyone around you. Go vegan!
I can't wait till I'm 100 so I can say I was vegan for 95 years.
It is with great honor to present the Lisa Shapiro Young Activist Award to someone who really inspires me and is my best friend, Angelina Poli.
Let's keep fighting, and let's keep yelling on the streets, and let's keep informing people that animal abuse is wrong, because we are getting there, okay? And we are gonna do it!
We are all one vegan team, okay? So whether you went vegan for the environment, guess what? Now you're saving a whole bunch of animals, but if you went vegan for the animals, you're also helping the environment, so no matter what got you on the team, I'm so happy that all of us are here, and I'm so happy that you all are here to do this march with us. Are you all ready? Go vegan, go vegan, go!
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 Melody and I drove down to Orlando, Florida for the International Animal Rights March, which took place in 49 cities around the globe and had over 41,000 activists taking to the streets to demand animal liberation.
Animal liberation! In one generation!
Their body!
Not ours!
Their baby!
Not ours!
Their milk!
Not ours! Go vegan, go vegan, go! Go vegan, go vegan, go! Animals love their babies! Just like us! Animals want to be happy! Just like us!
You may be the only vegan this person knows. Make them feel good. Let them know you love them. They're not our enemy. They were duped just like we were duped, you know, and they just haven't broke it. They haven't got lucky yet. We have a gift. We know aligning ourselves with our spiritual values makes us healthier, makes us feel better. We know that. We have a gift for you. We can't force the gift on them. And the more you push it in their face, the more it may push more. You have to be present, open, and vulnerable. POV with those people. Meet them where they're at, hear where they're coming from, and doors will open, opportunities will be there. But when you're pushing it, what's happening is you're feeling that fear and that blood's rushing to the back of your head, fight or flight. You're talking about, you're getting, I want to run away.
Yeah, exactly.
You said that word, you know what I mean? That's what's happening. So meditate, be present, be open, be willing to be vulnerable, and still love yourself.
And now for a moment of Zen, courtesy of Sunrise Sanctuary in Marysville, Ohio.